Hi and welcome to Jen's Ink Spot. Today I'm going to share with you about the Barn A2 card maker die from Frantic Stamper. Fran has recently had some questions about how to assemble this into a card, and so I want to share some tips with you on how I put together this card using this die. So I'm going to make a card very similar to this today. When you open the card, it looks like this, so you have the card shape. And I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm sure there's probably other ways. And then I've also made a card where I've put it on a square card here, and then it just opens like that. So this is paper back here. All right, so the main die in this die set is this barn piece. It's the shape of the barn, and it has a silo here on the side. And I have already cut this out, so when it's cut it looks like this. It's all one piece, but it has little pieces that you can easily snip apart, and I usually do that with a sharp pair of scissors, and these are, I think they're Cuttlebug scissors, and I use them a lot for detail cutting, and so that's what I'm going to use to snip this apart. Then I've also cut a piece of white because I'm going to use the white outline, and I've cut these other pieces as well. So I've cut the silo in a different color, and I like to mix and match patterns, so my silo is going to be kind of a gray polka dot. And then I've cut the hay here. Here is a square bale of hay. I'm not going to use that on this card, but that die is also included. I've cut two of the windows these are the windows, I guess. These are the doors. And then this is the piece that goes across the middle here. And then I've also cut two different silo tops. I wasn't sure which one I liked the best, so I cut two different silo tops. And I will decide as I put my card together which one I want to use. I like lots of color, and to make it a little bit of fun. It also includes these farm tool sets here. And then I also used a different die. This is Frantic Stamper's Stitch Grassy Hill Edger. And I've cut a little grass that I may put at the bottom of my card when I'm done. I'm not 100% sure about that. So now the big question is, how do you get your card to be this shape so that it can open without this part here showing like it does in this card? So if you want it to actually be the shape of the barn, how do you do that? That's what I'm going to show you. So I use a Big Shot machine when I die cut. And what I'm going to do is I took a piece of cardstock that I've already folded in half. I cut this so that the front would be 4.5 inches, which is a quarter size bigger than a normal card front. But this will allow me to be able to move my die a little bit closer to where I want it and to line it up easier. What I'm going to do is take my die, and I want it so that this little triangle top is going to be hanging slightly over the top of my card. So when you look at it here, you'll see how it looks. I want it so that this whole part isn't off, just the very top is off the top of my card. And I also want to make sure that this little line here is on my card. So I'm going to make sure that it's lined up on the front straight, and then I'm going to make sure that I just get the very tip of the barn. And then I used using a piece of Post-it note tape to hold it in place. You can also use washi tape. That's a great way to hold your die down so it doesn't move when you run it through your die cut machine. Now for my sandwich, I'm going to open tab 1 and tab 2 on my platform. I'm going to put my cutting plate down. Then I'm going to take my embossing mat and I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put my cardstock with my die on top of my embossing plate. Now, I've done this before and I needed a little bit extra shim. So I'm taking a piece of cardstock that I've ran through my machine quite often, and I'm going to use that as a shim. So I'm going to put it right on top of where it's going to be cutting. And then I'm going to put my last cutting plate and run it through. And I run it through twice. So here is my card, and I'm going to take the die off. And then if you look closely, you can see that where the impression of the card was. And so now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut around on both sides where the impressions are for this card. And so what we'll do is cut it. And for the bottom, I'm just going to line up where bottom of this die is and cut. And then I'm also going to cut right where I've impressed into my cardstock. Because remember we used our embossing pad. So there we have the shape of our card, and this will make your card sturdy. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to want to start assembling your card. So I'm going to cut away these little pieces because I'm not going to need them. And I'll do this for the entire barn. Okay, and those are all the pieces that I'm going to need. So now you can get your glue that you want to use for the outline of the barn. I'm going to start with this red barnwood piece and just adhere my adhesive to the back. And then use the places where it was embossed into the card as a guide as to where to place this. I will have to trim it up just a little bit, but that'll also get hidden by the grass when I put the grass down. I'm going to put the trim on next. You could also use score tape. I'm going to line it up at the top because I know that that part is straight. I'm going to add the silo. And then I'll add the very top of the silo next. And I decided to go with the piece that was a little bit more decorative. The last pieces are the doors and the windows. I'm going to add the grass next. Then I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on my hay bale and pop it up on top of the grass. And then I can trim. And there is my finished card. I hope that answers some of your questions on how to use the Barn A2 Card Maker die. Thanks for joining me today on Jen's Ink Spot.